Hey fam, it's the Better Man podcast. We are helping men win. Speaking of winning, I want to talk about our two partners, our two sponsors that help make this show go. One is Aroga Drive. When I'm looking for day in and day out energy to keep this motor going, Aroga Drive is the one. Check them out at arogadrive.com/BetterMan. It's in the show notes. And then also our guys at Art of Homage, engaging culture in a winsome, and I'm going to tell you, a strong vibe. You're going to check them out of Art of Homage, and we're actually going to give away some Art of Homage gear. Like the show, subscribe to the show. We've got hats, we've got t-shirts coming your way. And if you go to the Art of Homage website, link is in the notes, we've got a code for 15% off. Just put in BetterMan15.
You can't be disciplined and not be consistent. You can't be consistent and not be disciplined.
Fam, welcome back to the Better Man podcast. Man, we help men win. And talking about winners, boys, we got a winner in the studio today.
That must be Delario next to me.
Hey, when I think about, we often talk about, on a serious note, like if you want to be a lion, you got to run with lions. Well, we got one of the leaders of the pack with us today.
Mufasa.
Mufasa.
That's baby Simba.
Let's go,
baby Simba here.
Man, our guy Garret Wallow is with us today. Yeah. G is G is D's brother-in-law.
Yeah.
Right. He's a faithful husband, follower of Christ. He's a linebacker with the Tennessee Titans.
Yes, sir.
Man, and we're going to be talking about a little bit of that today. Just not necessarily, man, what does it take to perform at an NFL level? Mm-hmm. Because, I mean, you're gifted.
Right.
But the hard work behind that. Yeah. And the hard work that not just a man has to bring to the NFL, but the hard work that a man has to bring to everyday life.
Yeah.
It's hard work loving your wife like Christ loved the church.
Yeah.
It's hard work excelling at the job God's given you. Right. It's hard work bettering God's world. And just the attitude that you have to bring to that. So G, tell us a little bit about your journey and where you are today.
Yeah, absolutely. So obviously I was born in Memphis, but I was raised in New Orleans, Louisiana. I went to high school at John Curtis Christian School, which is basically it was like a football, like the family basically owned the school, so a lot of my coaches were also my teachers. Okay. So it was a really close connection school. Like everybody was real close, and that's honestly, kind of where my faith started to grow at that school, which I was thankful for. And so I did 4 years there, and I earned a scholarship to play football at TCU. There was a couple other schools, but just TCU was kind of that right school for me, and I played there 4 years. Being a captain 2 years there, my junior and senior year.
Come on.
And then from there, I got drafted to the Houston Texans in 2021 in the 5th round. And I did 3 years there, and now going on year 4 with the Titans. So it's been a journey for sure.
Hey, I like the way he said, I earned the TCU scholarship. Most people say, I got a scholarship. No, he earned it.
He earned it.
That boy worked.
No, I saw you on the field, bro. I saw you one game, bro. You had like 14 tackles.
Yeah.
What's your most tackles in a single game?
They said I had 19, but I think I had like 20.
He's shorter than one. I'm counting.
He said, I'm counting. He said, give me every inch.
Yeah, man, look, you need it too.
Yeah.
You need it too, absolutely.
Yeah, I guarantee it. Where do you think your work ethic comes from?
Man, that's always a good question because it wasn't like I've always had somebody who've instilled it in me. Yeah. I think a lot of it may be growing up seeing my mother raise two daughters and me, my twin sisters and I, and just seeing the nonstop work that she put in, seeing the struggles that she hid from us, but we could all see. I think it probably stems from that, but also I think a lot of it comes from having that first taste of success, like, and actually believing in myself, like. Because in high school, you know, I always wasn't this guy that worked hard until probably my freshman year in high school. And I just remember there was one time I was in the weight room and my defensive back coach, Tommy Feilbacher, you know, I always work out with the baseball guys. Like, those were my friends at the time. Like, I was always, you know, go in the weight room and kind of not giving my all. And I remember one time he dragged me out the weight room and
that's why you're working out with the baseball guys.
Yeah, he dragged me out the weight room and he kind of just did one thing every man I think has God done to him in a lifetime, kind of chewed me out. And man, it was kind of from that moment forward, it was life changing. He told me, he's like, you know, if you want to be different, you can't hang around the same people that you're hanging around or doing what they're doing. Or if you want to be different, you have to like sacrifice certain things. And he actually said it in a more aggressive way. But but I got the message right. And, you know, from that day forward, you know, things, you know, like my whole perspective of like working hard changed. And, you know, there were days where, you know, I worked out 2 or 3 times a day. And that was normal to me because I thought like, you know, to get to where I wanted to get to, I had to like overwork and outwork anybody else because I always knew there was somebody else working just as hard as me. So that, you know, that thought in the back of my mind kept me going, kept me working harder. And I think from my sophomore year when I did a couple good things on the field and I was like, you know, I could really probably go to like college for this. You know what I'm saying? I said, I think I could really make something happen. And then my junior year just took off, boom. And I was like, okay, yeah. We there.
Yeah, you talk about having that person believe in you, right? Your mom. And I think that's a part of all of our stories, actually. Yeah. I didn't even know that in this room. Like, when I think about, because I got a motor.
Right.
I can go.
Yeah, we know.
I can go, bro.
Harp said, ain't no 4-cylinder in me. That's all 8.
Yeah, we running on ethanol here. Bro.
Let me tell you, a motor like Harp's, I mean, you can't, like we're in the gym.
Hey.
We're doing one workout. Harp done. Before he came back for a second set, he did 4 different things.
I got
that's
this
a motor.
That's it. But I get it from my mom.
Yeah.
You know, I remember her working a full-time job and then working 3rd shift at the Waffle House. Man, I still can't eat waffles to this day because I smell that all the time, right? Yeah. But it's amazing the influences we have on our life. And the reality is, man, nobody is really making their own way. We talked about this in another episode. We are all imitating something. We're imitating these influences, man. So
Absolutely.
To have your mom, to have a coach, to have people in your life today that you can say, man, I want to run like that or I want to be like that, et cetera. That's huge. I know, D, it's the same case with your mom, right?
100%. Yeah. Yeah, so, man, you know, growing up in a single-parent household, man, my mom worked 3 different jobs.
Yeah.
She worked at the school. She rode the school bus to work with us. Which was embarrassing as a kid, you know.
Yeah, no doubt, bro.
Get on the bus and hang out with my boys, and my mom was sitting up front. She turned around, you know. So she worked cleaning homes, and she also cleaned the bank. So as I think about my mom, I think of a level of discipline, man, like no other. And as I think about discipline, Mike Tyson said discipline is doing the thing you hate and doing it like you love it.
Come on.
And Garrett, I've seen you on a football field by yourself with nobody else around. Right. Where does that level of discipline come from? Why do you choose that?
Yeah, and I think, you know, that level of discipline comes from seeing the results. And then when I think about discipline, you can't have discipline and not have consistency. Like, those two go hand in hand with each other. You can't be disciplined and not be consistent. You can't be consistent and not be disciplined.
Let's go.
Like, for example, like, as of right now, like, as an NFL athlete, you know, I have a routine. I have something that I do every day, right? You know what I'm saying? So every morning I wake up, I eat the same thing. 4 eggs, 4 turkey sausages, 2 scoops of strawberries, and some potatoes. And so that's the discipline. Like, the meal is the discipline, right? My consistent is like, all right, I have a routine.
You are Mufasa, bro. That's a lion's breakfast, bro.
But I have a routine as well. Like, I get in the tubs. I do certain things on my body to make me feel good, to have the results I have on the field, right? So that's my routine. That's my consistency. Now, I can't wake up one morning and they have a cinnamon roll out there and be like, ooh, I want to eat a cinnamon roll. Like, that's where the discipline, like, now I have to stay to the discipline because this is how I feel when I stay disciplined in my routine, which is being consistent. So, man, when those two go hand in hand and then you get the results that you see, you're like, okay, yeah, you have to sacrifice certain things to get that result. But when you see how rewarding it is, how good it feels, and just see everything come together. That's where I think discipline stands for.
That's good.
That's good. One thing that I've always thought about, and I always talk about it, as far as discipline for athletes and discipline for just in general. I know there's a lot that goes into that on the physical side.
Right.
What as far as the spiritual side, how is your discipline in your walk with the Lord? How would you say that's played out in getting you to where you were at? Is it a factor?
Yeah, absolutely. And especially it's more of a factor now that I've gotten to the NFL. I think my faith has grown a lot because I've been through such hard situations. I've kind of been through the worst of the worst. You know what I'm saying? I've been cut, which is the worst feeling in the world. I've been put in some situations that I honestly couldn't control anymore. And when I first got to the league, you know, my mindset, you know, I was always thought like I was in control of everything. So when things wouldn't go the way I planned it in my mind, I would get frustrated really and kind of living up to a perfect mindset. And we all know nothing's really perfect, but we strive to be perfect. And that's kind of where my faith grew. When I just realized, man, I don't have control anymore. And I really had to lean on God in those situations to get me through, lean on my wife to get me through because, you know, I've been in some low points in my life where, you know, God has brought me out of those situations and my wife has pushed me through those situations.
Come on.
And allowed me to keep going every day with the same energy and the same focus that I've had on my best days. So I think it's been, you know, just more of, I guess, like a factor, you know, since I've gotten in the league for sure.
And I'm telling you right now, bro, behind every good man is a better woman.
That's real.
And I met your wife. She a killer, bro. She the one. She keeping you out there. She keeping it
blood,
going.
Harp. It's in the blood.
I love.
That's what we're gonna say.
I love what you said about commitment, consistency, discipline. You know how really those things you can't have one without the other.
Right.
And to your point, man, there's a reason when the Apostle Paul talks about the spiritual life in Scripture, he's often using athletic metaphors.
Yeah.
Right. He's comparing it to a boxing match. He's comparing it to a race. He's comparing it to leaving every drop of sweat, every drop of blood on the field as you come through this life. And here's the reality. There's probably a lot of guys watching this today that they are lacking, not just physically, not just mentally, they're lacking spiritually because they don't bring that level of consistency and discipline to the table. Right. I know a lot of men who are consistent and disciplined in their work.
Yeah.
Right, going after promotions, trying to make money, move up the corporate ladder, but they don't bring that same consistency and discipline to their spiritual life, and they wonder why everything falls apart in the end, man. It's huge.
Why do you think that they can bring the heat everywhere else, but where it matters?
Because it's more difficult on the spiritual side, and it's less about your ability and more about your relationship with God. Right. I mean, I love what G said. G said, I came to that point where there were things out of my control.
Yeah.
So, right. If the Houston Texans were going to trade him, they've already decided to trade him, whether he's going to get 6 tackles or 7 tackles in the next game. Right. One more tackle wasn't going to change that. Right. They had already made that decision. Now all he gets to do is respond. And in the spiritual, man, so much of it depends on our understanding of God. Right.
Yeah.
Paul said that it's in my weakness that his power is manifested. Right. And to get to that point in your spiritual life, man, there's got to be humility. There's got to be knowledge of God. There's got to be understanding, right? All that comes through consistency and discipline.
Yeah.
It all comes through consistency and discipline.
And I like that word, humility, because that's huge. You know what I'm saying? If you don't have humility, then, you know, it's going to be like, I think one of my coaches said this the other day, like, there's a difference between being humble and being, you know, arrogant. You know, when you're being humble, things will humble you. Life will humble you. So, but when you're arrogant and you're just overconfident, it's so harder to keep that because you go through these tough situations, right?
Yeah.
So, man, it's important to have humility because, man, like, you're going to go through some hard times, but you also need to look at yourself in the mirror and be like, okay, there's some things that I can do better, some things that I can do differently. Like, I don't have it all figured out.
Yeah.
I think it's where humility comes. Like, you have to be, you know, you have to be able to take criticism in the right way and flip it around and, you know, just switch the narrative.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
I think, sorry, D, one quick thing. I think for a lot of dudes, the reason that spiritual things are not so on the forefront is because you can't really see a lot of the time any sort of what's going on. So you go work out, you're going to see the results for that.
Gains.
You go win in certain areas of your life. You're going to see those results right away. But obviously, the spiritual side of things are super important to you, even though we can't see that growth in your life. So, what are the things that you would say? Well, this is how I put value on that, and these are the effects that I've seen from the spiritual side of things.
That's good.
You know what's crazy? I think a lot of the times where I've seen the effects were after I've come out that situation.
Come on.
So, we always talk about you either going through a storm, you're coming out of a storm, you're getting prepared to go through one.
Yeah.
And so when I come out that situation, I can really see the effects. For example, being cut and going through that tough year of life in the NFL, after that, when I come out of it, I was a changed person, but I was a better person. I had a lot more humility to me. I was real humble. I didn't, I wasn't trying to control every situation. I would just focus on, being a positive person, bringing positive energy into the room, no matter what the situation looked like. Being able to uplift other people around me, sharing what I've been through other people who I've seen going through the same thing. And sometimes we have to go through things in order to share with other people who are experiencing the same things.
Yeah.
And so a lot of the times, going through those tough situations, when you're going through them, it seems like you're going through like a brain fog, like you're just trying to kind of get through it. But man, when you just sometimes like a tough situation, you just kind of got to take it by the hand, just be like, I'm gonna make it through. I always do make it through. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. And that's a testament because, Manny, I love what you said. G can measure 6 tackles a game, 8 tackles a game, 12 tackles a game. You can see it. Others can see it. You can't always measure humility.
Yeah.
You can't always measure your growth in humility. Right. And that's probably why we lean towards the tangibles. More than more than the ethereal. But I remember one time Saban, after Alabama lost a national championship, Saban said after the game, we're going to be okay because adversity builds character. Yeah,
that's real.
And I reached out to him and I said, hey, Nick, man, I would never challenge your ability on the field. Notice I called him Nick.
Yeah. I bet you love that.
Yeah, you called him Nick after he lost.
He said, hey, coach.
Who is? Hey.
Yeah. Hey, Nick. I said, I want to challenge you. I said, yes, adversity builds character, but more so, adversity reveals character.
Yeah.
Adversity will show you who you really are in that moment. It'll show you who you are, right? So like when you come out of that, man, it's a testament to your character that you're still persevering,
right?
That you're still pushing forward, that you're still exercising consistency and discipline. You're still willing to do those things because the adversity didn't break you.
Yeah.
Where does that come from?
Man, I think it's just a testimony to my whole entire life.
Okay.
There's been certain things that I've dealt with in my life that I haven't allowed to break me.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Growing up, not really having my father around, like, man, that caused a lot of anger in me.
Come on.
And there's been certain things like where situations could have gone wrong, but I was able to control myself. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And so I just think that was kind of just a testimony to my whole life and things that I've been through. And I'm sure it's vice versa for a lot of us in here. Yeah. There's no you'll probably never come across somebody with an easy upbringing. And those like for the Larry situation, or for your situation, like that we've talked about, like, man, life has been hard for some of us from the moment we were like brought into this world. You know what I'm saying? So we've been overcoming adversity since we were kids. So I think it's just like a natural instinct to be able to overcome those things. And our character's been being built from the moment we were kids to now grown men. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, being trained, being trained in that moment. And I'm going to be honest with you. You and I talk about this. That's one of the biggest fears I have today for my kids.
Absolutely.
Bro, my kids have it easy. My 10-year-old ordered Chinese food on Uber Eats the other day. What are we doing?
I don't know. You tell me.
Bro, what are we doing?
Yeah.
Right? Go eat a peanut butter sandwich.
Yeah.
Right. And one of my biggest fears are my kids don't have to face the same level of adversity I did. I'm excited that they don't right? So it's like a catch-22.
Yeah.
Man, but I don't really know what to do with that half the time.
Well, you have to create that adversity.
Come on.
Yeah.
I mean, I think
You just throw them in the pool, swim.
That's right.
I ain't saying that. I ain't saying kill him, Harp.
you said, Harp, he's only 2.
Right. I think there's a level of that as parents today we have to create.
Yeah.
Like 3 weeks ago, I took the boys out and I was like, "You're gonna learn how to change them oil." Right? They don't have to. There's an oil shop right by my house. Cost me $55 in 30 minutes.
Yeah.
So I don't have to put them through that exercise. But if things break down or if something changes, then they have to know how to do something for themselves.
Man.
So I think that we have to create those environments and those experiences for our kids so that they learn how to deal with adversity and difficult things.
And this quickly has turned into a parenting episode. Yeah. But I don't want to. But in serious, I don't want to lose this.
Yeah.
I was just in I was in a fatherhood commission like gathering. And they asked me what I thought about this. And I said, have you ever seen a professional dog trainer? And everybody looked at me like I was crazy. And I said, well, a professional dog trainer spends 20 minutes, 20% of his time training the dog and 80% of his time training the owner. I said, when I think about fatherhood today, I look at it like that, right? When the Spartans sent out the boys who would come back as men, nothing had really changed between being 12 years old and 13 years old. There was no real big change.
Right.
What changed was the way the community had received them. The community no longer received them or treated them as boys. They had received them and treated them as men now.
Yeah.
And I'm telling you, the biggest problem we have today, I think, in our culture is the 18-year-old boy whose mom is still making him peanut butter sandwiches.
Yeah.
Whose mom is still doing his laundry. Right? The 23-year-old boy, right, who's still living off, XYZ, whatever it is, because culture has stopped treating them or their environment has stopped treating them like men. Now, for us, we had to start being men when we were 7 and 8. I'm not saying that's healthy.
Right.
No, it's
Right.
not.
I'm not saying that's healthy, but I'm saying there comes a point where you gotta, what did Paul say? When I became a man, I put childish things away. I stopped thinking and acting like a child.
Yeah.
Some of y'all watching this show right now, you probably should play less Xbox,
Yeah.
Yeah.
right? And get in the gym.
Yeah.
You should probably play less Xbox, watch less Netflix, and read your Bible more.
Yeah. Go cut your grass.
Go.
Do some work.
Nah, that's real. And too, like, I think we can all relate. Like, I think we were all in the mindset of surviving,
Yeah.
whereas now you get to give your kids the mindset of living.
Come on.
But you have
Boy,
to
you
be able to
preaching.
teach them
Come on. He gonna
Throughout
put that on a T-shirt, boy.
I'm telling
living,
you.
not living, not surviving. I like that. But nah, that's real though, man. Like I was telling, I think our boy George just the other day in the car. I was like, I think he was like, was your mom, heavy on, bringing God into your life in the household? And I said, well, she did her part for sure. But I think the intent wasn't always as much as I see how I would want my family now. But I said, George, I think the reason behind that was because we were in the mindset of just surviving.
Come on.
And he knew exactly what I was talking about when I said that because he experienced the same thing.
Yeah.
So the whole point of what I'm trying to make around this is we go through those situations so we can give our kids better.
That's right.
But you do want them to experience some hard times, and then you can do that by just not giving them answers to everything. Figure it out. I hear him say it every time, figure it out.
Come on.
Like you have to find ways to figure it out, literally. And it might not look perfect.
I just told my daughter she forgot her lunch.
Yeah.
So my wife was running lunch up to the school. And when my daughter come home that day, I said, hey, listen, baby girl, I love you. I said, I'll die for you.
Yeah.
We will never bring lunch up to the school again.
Yeah.
Next time you're going to have to figure it out. I don't care if you have to beg, barter, trade. If you're hungry enough, maybe I'll let you steal. But and you can go without a meal too. Like missing a meal isn't going to kill you. I said, but this is the last day I ever or your mother ever brings a lunch up to the school.
Yeah.
Get up in the morning, pack your lunch, bring your lunch to school. We're not doing it anymore. We're not doing it anymore. But you come to that point, right? I love that, D. Just figure it out. You need to figure it out. And here's the deal. As men, we still figuring things out.
Yep.
Yeah, that's
We
real.
haven't gotten it all figured out yet, man. I'm learning every day. I learn from y'all.
You're gonna still be learning 2 years from now.
Come on.
You know,
Ain't that the truth, bro?
it's real.
50 years from now, if I'm still alive,
Yeah.
That's right.
I'm probably gonna live. I don't
Well,
know. With
Stetson
my,
hat on.
what did Ricky Bobby say with my high level of income and the advancement of modern medicine? I'll probably live to 160, 170.
Don't put that on me, Ricky.
Manny, share what is one spiritual discipline, and I want the group to share it.
Yeah.
What's one spiritual discipline in your life that you could pass on to a listener that that has helped you grow, not just as a man, but as a godly man?
Yeah. For me, it's a tie, but between a couple things. Actually, I'm going to go with prayer.
Come on.
So and the reason I talk about that is that's the hardest thing for me. That's been the thing that has been. It's always been taught to me, and I've always known how to pray or what to say at times, but my prayer life wasn't vibrant. And so, to put it into terms that we're talking about here, I mean, it was that thing that I would do once every month or once every, I would pray at meal times and all this other stuff,
Sure.
but I wasn't spending real time in prayer. And since taking on the role where I'm at right now, I've begun praying more during this season than I ever have, and I've found the blessing of really being close to God, talking with God, and it's made a huge difference in my life. I'm 42 years old, and I would say for the first 41 years of my life, I haven't really dived really into prayer. There've been times into all that, but now my life has changed radically. Just in the last 9 months, just because of incorporating this type of prayer, and it took me a long time. The first time I was like, all right, I'm going to do this. I was like, all right, I'm going to spend 10 minutes in prayer. That's a lot. So I started with that, and it was tough getting to that 10-minute mark. And then I thought, all right, well, and I don't want to just pray a lot for looking at the timer, but I'm just wanting to pray, and I want to spend time with God.
Yeah.
And I got to the place over time that I'm spending 45 minutes to an hour just talking with God about all these things that I'm doing. And
Bro, you like all pro.
and no, I'm still learning too. And then there's some days where it doesn't happen and all that, but it's something that to me has really made a huge difference just recently. And so
And for guys hearing that, I want you to hear, notice he said you've got to start somewhere. And it's okay to start small. Like if you're not used to spending time alone with God in prayer,
yeah.
like don't commit to doing an hour every day,
Right.
because what's going to happen is you're going to fail about day 2,
Yeah.
and then you're going to be in this guilt shame loop.
Yep.
So start spending 5 minutes a day in prayer. And after a couple of weeks or a couple of months, man, spend 10 minutes.
Yeah.
And then one day you'll be all pro like Manny, 45 minutes, bro, just shaking the world with prayer. D, what's one spiritual discipline, man, you could pass on, or you said it's impacted you?
Boy, dying to self and self-reliance.
Come on.
Garret had mentioned something. I've always had the mindset of I can figure anything out. There's nothing that I cannot do. And I believe that.
Yeah.
And there have been so many times where I have walked the line of doing that and leaving God on the sidelines. And so I can figure it out. I'm handsome. I'm winsome. I'm just saying, let's keep 100. Let's keep it real, bro. I'm keeping it real. And so,
hey, can I affirm something in you, bro?
No,
you
go
are
ahead.
handsome,
I appreciate it.
And you're winsome.
There you go. I'm gonna take that too. But I'm just saying that there's a level of I don't know, man, a favor I have when it comes to people.
Yeah.
So sometimes it's very easy to take things on my own.
Yeah.
And literally not give God, I don't give God the credit until I've done it.
Come on.
When he should have got the credit from the beginning.
And the problem with that is you're not even doing bad things.
Yep.
But what because I wrestle with that. And what I've learned is, man, I might even do something good, but God wanted to 10X that. And if I'd have just leaned on him, bro, it would have 10X'd.
Right.
Yeah.
Right? Because I was doing it in my own ability and my own strength. When God's ability and God's strength is infinitely greater than mine.
Yeah.
Infinitely greater than mine. God's out here wanting to multiply, and I'm down here just adding.
You up at one and one. Yeah.
It's a problem.
It's real. It is a
It's
problem. Yeah.
Yeah. So how do you cultivate that trust on him, bro? Like, where do you go?
Well,
in your mind?
it's like Manny said, man, I have to stop. I have to pray. I have to acknowledge him. And I've got to get out the way.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, I have to get out of the way, man. And so I just cultivate my prayer life, just like Manny said, man, and move out of the way and allow the Lord to move so that I don't think it's all me.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah. It's real.
Come on, Gideon.
It's a struggle, bro. Let's go.
Yeah.
Come on.
That's real.
G, what about you, bro?
Yeah, I would say for me, and this is something I've been challenged on recently.
Yeah.
Basically, my chaplain for the Tennessee Titans, I've grown to have like a really good relationship with them. James Mitchell, you know what I want to say?
yeah.
If I had your hand, I would cut mine
I
off.
had your hand, I cut mine off.
He's an old school guy, and he was like, do you read your scripture? I said, yeah. I was like, I'm more so of like I like reading like devotionals or books like that, like Tony Evans books, things. He's like, oh, I'm a Tony Evans fan, so he hands me like 10 books one day. I'm like, oh wow, but he was like, he's like, I want to challenge you to read your devotionals in the morning. I was like, well, I kind of like reading them at night before I go to sleep. He's like, how you gonna be able to use it? I was like, I said, man, that's actually a good point. So
In your dreams.
Yeah. I said, well, maybe like read it at night and bring it to the next day. And at that point, it kind of wears off a little bit. So I was like, you know what, you're right. So one thing I've been challenging myself earlier is to wake up 30 minutes earlier and read my devotion and pray in the morning. So that just puts me in the mindset, okay, this is what I want to focus on today, whatever that devotional was. And a lot of time for me is just giving thanks in my prayers instead of asking.
Let's go.
And a lot of things I found myself, early on is like, God, I don't want to do this. I want to have the best year this. I want to do this. But then going through so much, like growing out humility, I say, God, like if you don't do any more, like you already done enough.
Yeah.
So every time I step on the football field, I hit a nail, like I just thank him. I just sit there, I thank him. And I just pray that he allows me to be at my best in all areas of my life. But just thank you for allowing me even to get to this point. So a lot of that is just giving thanks instead of asking.
Yeah, come on.
Yeah.
Gratitude takes what we have and makes it enough, baby.
Yeah.
No doubt. G Money, thank you so much for being on the show with us today.
Yeah, absolutely.
And you got something to add?
Hey, just what about you, man? Spiritual discipline.
Oh,
Come
yeah.
on, man. Come on. I was trying to run out the door.
No, we want you to tell it, Harp. Tell it.
No doubt. So one of the things I do, it's around the word. And y'all have heard me preach this, that we've got to read the word like a brother. So I've got a text group that every morning we take a portion of scripture and we read it, and then everybody just responds one or two things that God showed them or that God spoke to them. So the beauty of that is I'll read something and the Lord will show me something that maybe Manny or you don't see. And then you'll read it and the Lord will show you something that I don't see, and it brings clarity to the scripture. Okay. So right now, one of the groups I'm in, we're going through Galatians.
Yeah.
And we just walked through a book of the Bible together, man, sharing every morning. Man, we read these 5 verses or these 10 verses. This is what the Lord showed me. So, and that's super simple. Man, grab 1 or 2 of your guys, grab 1 or 2 guys you trust, and you just send the verse out in the morning, and then everybody just responds, this is what the Lord showed me. And it's a great way to go through Scripture together and then disciplining yourself to read Scripture every day. But what you said, G, is true, man. Consistency and discipline, you cannot divorce those from one another. Yeah. They build on one another. Bro, I hope you absolutely crush it this season. Man,
absolutely, man.
You align, and whether you're getting 14 tackles a game or none, bro, you are loved. Yeah. You are gifted, bro. You're a good man, and your family.
Nah, I appreciate that, man. And one thing, I want to add on to that is and we talk about it all the time, and it's especially for the listeners, man, life is hard. You have to choose your hard.
That's it.
It's really hard being successful. But it's hard, soaping in your emotions and being not getting up and doing what you dream of or have passion towards. So
come on.
At the end of the day, you just have to choose. It's gonna be hard every day, waking up, chasing greatness. Because that's why, there's only 1% of people that are great in this world.
Come
you know
on.
what I'm saying? And it's
That's
hard.
it. Ain't too many lines.
Like 99% people are on the other side of the hard.
Yeah.
So what side of the hard do you want to be on?
That's good. And y'all can buy the Choose Your Hard T-shirt next week.
$10.99.
That's it. We'll see y'all next week.